Hello, today I've got a MacBook Pro. This is an A1502 EMC 2875. It's a 13-inch MacBook Pro that has a cracked display. You can see as you flex it, it affects this. There's definitely a crack in there somewhere. So the customer has brought me a new one. Well, not a new one, a replacement, because these screens are extremely expensive. I'm just going to shut down. So let's open the replacement. Comes in a large bubble wrapped box, and there's an envelope of screws. So they must have given us the screws that they removed when they removed the display. There are the different bits of bracket and things that are around this particular, that are around the hinges. Just one second. Nice packaging. Wow. I've never seen that before, where a replacement LCD is packed in a MacBook Pro box. More bubble wrap. I suppose when you buy something used on eBay, or I'm not sure where this is purchased from, but and it's hundreds of pounds, you would expect them to pack it properly. So one thing I worry about a little bit is that I'm generating static electricity. I am grounding on my grounding mat here, so presumably it's not going to be an issue. Now it's just... That was a lot of bubble wrap. So here's the replacement screen. It looks pretty good. Couple of little blemishes, nothing major. The back looks good, and the retina film, the retina coating is not worn off. I've seen some of these that people have scrubbed and they've actually taken some of the coating off, so when it's off it looks terrible because it doesn't reflect evenly, but when they're on and backlit they look fine. Alright, so this MacBook is also missing two of its feet. I do have a couple of replacement kits, or a couple of different styles of those. I believe I have the right ones for this. It's similar to my MacBook, yeah, with the small. So some of these have quite a big inner part that goes through the hole in the MacBook, and some have a very small one with a alignment pin, sort of. That's what this one takes. So I'll put two new feet in here while I'm working on it. Okay, I will start with my pentalobe. I'm going to put on my grounding strap now. So there are clips in the middle, right around in here, probably here, that are holding it down internally. So you have to pop those up. Those little boyos there. So there's a fair amount of dust in here. I'm going to take this into the back room and blow it out. Okay. That's a bit better. So this rubber bumper is supposed to be hooked around the heat pipe there, but it wasn't. Although I might have blown that off with the air. So this little warning label over the battery, I'm going to zoom in. I'm trying to do this without prying on any of the surrounding components, you know, using those as leverage. Okay, it's coming. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the battery's disconnected. So now essentially we need to remove your antenna wire, the fan bumper, the camera connector, which is here, and it's also stuck on to the fan, and then the display connector. And I think that's it. I'll go and double check. So that fan bumper just comes off. It's being held on by these, you know, just grabs around the heat pipe there. And then these little antenna wire, you can just lift up on them. I'll zoom in and show you. So these antenna wire, you can just lift up on the wire and it opens off of the connector. So putting them on is the opposite of that. You put it down like this and then flat. Put one end, you know, the end in, and then rock it flat. So that's off there. So now I'll take this connector out. I want to just walk it out left, right, left, right. There it goes. And unstick this off of the fan. And the motherboard. Okay, so that's off. Now we have the display connector, the video connector, I guess you'd call it, where the actual video signal goes from the motherboard. Just trying to lift, so there's a little handle basically, but it's also a lock. So that, just gonna try to pull kind of evenly enough that it rocks out. There we go. That should be everything. Okay, so now we remove the hinge covers. These are little rubber hinge covers. Now these screws, the upcoming screws, are Torx. We got a T8 Torx for the larger screws, but it looks like smaller ones require T5 maybe? Yep. So I'll start with the smaller ones because those are attached to this hinge cover or hinge bracket. Just gonna keep those organized. Try to get this boyo out of there. Yeah, hinge bracket. And there's one on the other side. So now I'll switch to my T8 Torx, and I'll do, so I'm going to remove the outer two, leaving the inner one on both sides as the last ones. This has a little bit of, looks like oil on it. It's not sticky. I don't know what that is. So these two screws are holding the bracket that holds down the antenna wires. So I just need to not forget that when I take them out. So we're going to zoom out here. Now, this next step, we tip it on its side, open it to just over 90 degrees. According to iFixit, open it just over 90 degrees and then remove those remaining two screws. So I'm going to loosen them first because they're quite tight. Okay. I'm actually going to get the other display ready as well. It looks like it is ready. I'm going to move my pry tools so I have a place to lay things down if I need to. And here we go. So I'm just going to hold with my hand, I'm going to hold both the display and the body of the computer so that nothing falls. Okay, so it's free, and now the trick is to get everything to come out of the the narrow passage. The bottom side is completely free. The top side, I'm going to open the hinge a little bit more so that I've got a little bit of wiggle room here. And I'm going to lift the computer up. And then I just open the laptop a little more to get it to release. So I'm going to lay that down. So there's the old display. I'm going to wash my hands, maybe put on some gloves. All right. So the important thing to do here is to not scratch the display or pinch any wires. So I'm really just laying it in here, and because this one was open enough, the hinges were articulated open enough, it really just fell into place. So I'm going to put my thumbs on the hinges. Actually, I'm going to tip it up on its side so that I can easily hold this in place while I get a single screw into each hinge. So I'm going to close the MacBook and put it back down. For some reason, this screw didn't quite feel right. I'm going to revisit that. Just screw it in by hand for a bit to see. Yeah, no, that's okay. That's threaded perfectly. Very good. So now, these other two screws, I need to put that bracket in there. Just going to start that one until I get the second one in so things don't go out of alignment on me. Those are tight. I'm going to take off these gloves because I'm finding it quite difficult to work with these small screws when I have ill-fitting latex gloves over my fingertips. Definitely reuse those. Alright, the hinge brackets. So a little something on this connector. I'm just going to zoom in. That's like a wire or a very strong hair. I have to move the camera out of my way here. It's like a thread, part of the tape. Well, I should have tested to see whether it was conductive, but it's gone now. So now we just need to pop this connector in there. Oh, get in there. Just gonna push it down a little bit so it lines up. There we go. That looks like it's perfectly aligned. Lovely. Is it in all the way? I'm just going to give it a little pull and wiggle, and yep, that flips over, locks into place, so it's good. Now we have the antenna connectors. I might start with the hardest one. I might start with the inner one. Let me get my blue spudger so I can see a little bit of contrast. bring this out a little bit. Right, so we have the hinge covers that go back in. And then this bumper that somehow has to go over, oh yeah, that's quite easy actually, over the heat pipe, under the heat pipe. So on this side I'll lift it up and slide this bit under, and then this bit can just tuck under that way, and that looks wonderful. So now that should be everything. The display is screwed in, all of the display screws are in, so I'm going to reconnect the battery and put the lid back on. Actually, no, I'm going to replace those missing feet. So these 2 feet are missing, these 2 are fine. It's good because I don't have 4 new feet. I'm going to clean this out a little bit. So this one still has a little bit of material stuck under here. Actually, no, I think it's okay. Maybe I'll start with that one. Just trying to get that aligned. That's pretty good. Okay, now we'll put the lid back onto the computer. I'm going to turn the computer back around the way I had it when I took the lid off, which is with the hinge toward me. There, I actually heard the 2 clips engage. So I'll swap out my little Torx for my pentalobe. And I'm going to start in the middle here with the 2 longer screws. There's a big magnet inside the MacBook. Not a big magnet, but a magnet. And so I have to hold this screw, otherwise it gets ripped off of the screwdriver. And then the 2 short ones. There's not much thread here, so I'm doing these manually just to make sure that I don't cross thread them, because I wouldn't want to risk it. There. That should be a working display. That looks great. Very pleased. Thanks for watching.